Krishna Krishna Hare Rama. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Many devotees are engaged in the service this week, and so many other things going on simultaneously. So we will keep this class brief, and already for those reasons we are somewhat late. So apologies for that. So we will discuss about one report. Yeah, let's see. Try to cover today text 24. Any points from last discussion? Anybody remembers? Mr. Shiva? Don't remember anything. What's your name? Remember that? No.
You spoke extensively about Vilas Thakur, how he was constantly chanting.
Okay, we were talking about principles of compassion. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that being the most perfect Vaishnava, Sri Narad Muni is always willing to do good to others, even to one who curses him. That's very interesting. No? Just imagine somebody's cursing you. I remember many times we are in the West, we go out for Harinam or something, and people just, it's like, yeah, we can have a lot of different kinds of experiences, but still. So the Vaishnava will always try to do good to others. Sometimes even more challenging things may happen, even physical level and so forth. So that's very challenging for spiritual practice and for that kind of level of consciousness to have while practicing spiritual life. So we see, but Narad Muni, the greatest of all the Vaishnavas, he just exhibited his natural merciful propensity. Even though Kalhanya cursed him for having been refused, he still did something that was in her favor. Even went and just, it's like, it's not just that you don't retaliate in some way, it's not just that you don't, counter curse, just like we know in that pastime of Daksha, Brahmanas and demigods and Lord Shiva's followers, they started cursing and counter cursing and fighting back and this, that. And even Lord Shiva was thinking, what a neophyte mentality. Both of them, so neophyte. And he just left. Amazing. That's a Vaishnava. He didn't get involved into all of this mess. And this is what it's advised by Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavata. He said, whenever there is some dispute amongst the devotees or Vaishnavas or whatever, then one should not side with anyone. For various reasons that can be discussed. But the major reason is that then one will become implicated, and it will lose its Krishna consciousness. That's pretty heavy. So that's why we say here that Narada Muni, being a perfect Vaishnava, he didn't just remain indifferent. Of course, definitely he didn't get involved, but he didn't also remain indifferent. But he even positively reacted to the curse of Kalakanya. And then what did he do? Who remembers? What did he do? How did he benefited her?
Yeah, now I say,
Where? in the palace. No, wrong answer. Huh? What was the benefit? How did he benefit in there? Yeah.
How did Adbhuta benefit?
Yeah.
Because
No, her benefit, her.
he introduced her to.
Okay, he arranged a husband for her. She was looking for a husband, so he made the arrangement. So that she was benefited and the husband was benefited. So he went out of his way to make such kind of arrangement, which he didn't have to. He was cursed. So much trouble, but he didn't have to do it, but he did. So that's a Vaishnava. Amazing. You think about it, you try to analyze, if you try to, it's so difficult, it's not easy even theoretically, you might have difficulties understanding how is that possible. And that someone has, thank you. So, what else? Any other points? Yeah.
Forget the statement of Prabhupada, this world is not for a eternal.
Okay, and why?
Many difficulties.
Yeah, but what's in connection to what we discussed?
Like we have to come out of this all miseries and these attachments and desires.
It's like one thing is, yeah, attachments and this and that. One thing is that it doesn't mean that if some girl approaches you for marriage or whatever, doesn't mean that now because we are hearing this story that now we also have to, if we refuse her, let's say this happens, then now you have to arrange for her marriage. That's not the purport of this pastime. Not that kind of merciful. One should be very cautious of being very merciful to someone. There were many sannyasis who tried to be very merciful. They affected very negatively their spiritual life. So we should be very cautious not to imitate Maradamuni. How do we benefit? How can we? There are certain ways how we can maybe benefit someone, but that should not be done directly in any sense, in any way. We have to be very, very cautious. Maybe we can redirect, or like sometimes we have some ladies coming and they will say, okay, here is some other program or whatever, this and that. No? Or something like this. Of course, in terms of somebody approaching like this, sometimes not even just approaching or likely inquiring, there might be much more heavier pressure involved, but essentially one should be knowing one's position. Let's put it this way. If somebody is interested, that's a different thing. But if somebody is not, then also there's a way, there's an etiquette. Everything should be done according to etiquette. This is the Vedic culture. If you know the Vedic culture, then there are no difficulties. And let's say if you are approached by someone without following same etiquette, then you don't have to respond by the same etiquette. No? Prabhupada said in business, anybody cheats you, cheat them back. Prabhupada said you should not allow them to, cheat you. It's Krishna's Lakshman. No. So if somebody approaches you, in an inappropriate way, you don't have to respond always, accordingly. It depends. Preservation of one's life is the highest law. You know that? The law of preservation. That's the highest law for one's identity, for one's personality. So one has to see what are the circumstances, and if somebody else doesn't follow, we don't have to be obliged to follow either. Of course, as much as possible. But it doesn't mean that we have to get involved. Because as soon as one gets involved, you may stop getting trapped. and not being able to come out of it. Like that, there is that, let's say, there is that saying, said it's a Buddhist saying, that there were two Buddhist monks, and they came to the river. And there was one lady, she couldn't cross the river, she wanted to cross the river. And then she asked for help. So, and then two Buddhist monks, they're also monks, no, they're not supposed to have anything to do with women. So she asked, and then the other one just, like kind of. And then the one fellow, just somehow picked her up, take her across, put it down, and start walking. And the other one crossed the river. And then after half an hour, this other fellow, he said, "How could you do that? How could you touch that lady and carry that lady?" Yeah. And this other fellow said, he said, "I carried her for 5 minutes, and you carried her for half an hour." What's the word? So that's the point. It's what is one has. It depends what is your consciousness to perform certain activity. So if one doesn't have proper consciousness, of course, there is also certain etiquette, there is also certain expectation of certain position and so forth. Preferably everything should be considered. And one should not, that's like that evaluation, that's one of the principles. That's like always the most demanding, most difficult principle to ascertain what is to be done, what is not to be done. So that takes either a lot of experience or a lot of good advice from somebody who is senior. So yes, it comes with time, it comes with experience. One has to see what is to be done, what is not to be done. You know that saying, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You know? You heard it?
Yes.
And then what did the fish said when he hit the wall? What did the fish said when he hit the wall?
The what?
Yeah, what did the fish said when he hit the wall? No, you don't know. What the fish said when it hit the wall? It said, damn. Okay, so that's the point. How to evaluate. To do something, not to do something. Takes experience. Okay, so like this. What is one's position and how one should act in certain given position? That's why safest thing is better not to react and better to stay away. If one is not qualified, one should also not consider oneself overly qualified. So one should not imitate, one should know one's own position. One should be honest to its own conditionings and not aggravate them. That is the idea. So as we said, somebody comes and proposes something and this and that, we should not feel, it's like I know on the body. That's funny. This devotee was from the West, I won't say from which place. It's in Amsterdam. I won't say which country it is, but anyway, it's like. So he was in South India for some time, brahmachari for many years. Of course, that was some years back now. And then he was telling, and I met him in Amsterdam that time when he said that. Because, I knew him from India. I've been also down south and like this. So he was quite some years in Tirupati. So he said, wow, one father approached me if I would marry his daughter. He was like talking as if being gratified that, wow, this is like something amazing, something great. I don't know what are you talking about? Of course, every father would like to get rid of, he would like to, arrange for, so he was talking like, so one should be very, and that's why he didn't remain brahmacharya. Started contemplating like this, he didn't remain. Anyway, he didn't work, he went through quite some purification. So like this, one has to be cautious. One has to be very cautious that, one doesn't become carried away by any certain proposals like this, unless one is, of course, intending to practice certain ashram. But still, again, in any case, one has to become qualified. One has to first qualify. If one is not qualified, then anything he does in life is going to be a very big challenge. Just like we know that everything requires training. No? Everything requires training. So if we are not trained, whenever we face an obstacle, then we will maybe detract, or we may, waste a lot of time, or we may become entangled in different ways. So life is just like, you may say, like a game of chess. And just like playing chess game. And chess is what? Chess is meant, it's a game to develop intellectual ability and use it practically for what? Huh? What is the practical application of chess? Who knows? How was chess developed? For which purpose? In which sense? Yes.
To fight in battle.
To fight in battle, yes. The different yuhas, different armies, parts of army, this and that. So the kings would play chess to develop that strategical ability. So life, it's also like this. It's a part of the training, and that's what brahmacharya life is all about. One has to go through the training of life and then understands when in life I'm faced with certain situation or perspective, this or that, or this may happen, or so many different kind of things. And what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to react? So then if you know how to move the different qualities or use different qualities and work things in different ways, and when you face some challenge or this or that problem, this, that, then you know how to maneuver. Then you know how to maneuver in life. And you sometimes know how to retreat also, how to become humble, how to attack also when it's required, so many things, And the main thing is also when there is a bait, you're kind of tempted, that is this a trap or should I go for it? And you see your resources, everything else. Because sometimes people become greedy, or sometimes people become lusty. And many times it happens that you think, yes, that's a very nice opportunity that I can now conquer over or eat that payan or something, whatever. This piece on the board or this and that. And then you do this, and then the fellow just checkmate you in a few moves and game is over. No? So you should know when you're playing chess, what can you do, what you shouldn't do. You should learn how to anticipate what goes on forward. So we are taught in life and in practice, that's why brahmachari training, brahmachari life, gurukul life, that when you meet certain situations in life, that how are you going to react? That's why we have so many books, that's why we have so many examples. Everything is there. There's nothing that is missing. It's just a matter how much knowledge you have. You don't even have to have experience, because everything is experience. There's nothing new that you're going to go through. Everything is already known. It's just how much knowledge do you have. That's it. And if you don't have knowledge, are you taking shelter of someone who does have knowledge? That's all. And then are you ready also to follow someone, or you're whimsical and just doing whatever you want to do, thinking that, we are very smart and whatever. So that's what the game of life is all about. So if we learn how to follow, we learn how to survive. We learn how to follow, we'll save ourselves from so much trouble, from so many mistakes. And what is the final essence of it is that we will move progressively towards higher consciousness. Instead of just letting go our karma, battering and kicking us and defeating us in so many different ways and degrading us, we will move forward. We will know how to outmaneuver, all the different puzzling situations in life that happen, and then we'll learn how to go forward and be victorious. Be victorious over Maya. Be victorious over illusion, which is tempting us every moment, practically. She wants to see, are we serious to serve Krishna or not? Or we want to get under her clutches. We think that's easier. We think that's easier. But that's foolish. That's foolish. Because once we become trapped, then we lose the consciousness. Then yes, then we act just like the living beings were part of the animal kingdom. No freedom whatsoever. No freedom. So we don't want to lose our freedom. We want to learn that game of life. We want to come out victorious. We want to learn how to anticipate different. And this is all that makes you stronger. This is all that makes you capable. This is all that definitely gives us more taste for Krishna consciousness. But one has to learn again how to be cautious. And therefore we should not imitate Narad Muni. If we see, let's say, like we said, there is a game going on, there's a war ready, we see that the enemy is a little stronger, and we don't have that ability to tackle him, better we retreat and stay away from it. We don't have to preach to someone. I'm preaching to this girl, very nice. I'm such a compassionate devotee. Very soon she'll start preaching to you. Go and get this, go and do that. So we'll see who's preaching to whom. So if you can't handle that, then you better learn how to stay away. Otherwise, it's going to be a big mess. So that's why this is example of course, very qualified and very compassionate and very exalted personality as Narada Muni. So we shouldn't imitate that. The best, really, what we can learn and do, if somebody is interested, then yes, we can, direct them towards someone else who will take care. That is also there. Unfortunately, there are such kind of options. It's not that we live on an island, but there is nobody else available. That you really have to take care. We don't have that excuse or something. Fortunately, Okay. So this is something that we were discussing last. Any other point? Anything else anybody wants to bring? Last discussion. Clear. Okay. Yeah, but somebody else might have something to add. You want to say something?
It's just the 3 points.
I said 3 points.
Of that is
Okay.
determination.
Okay, we mentioned determination, chanting, and compassion.
Being mercy.
Yes, mercy, compassion. Okay, so let's do today's verse. It's a long purport here. I don't know if you can make it, but let's try. It says here, Rishabham yavananam tvam vrine virepsitam patim sankalpasvai bhutanam kritakila narishyati. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Approaching the king of the Yavanas, Kanya, addressed him as a great hero, saying, "My dear sir, you're the best of the untouchables. I'm in love with you, and I want you as my husband." I mean, she's in love with everyone, it doesn't matter, not only this one, that one. But anyway, okay. Keep this aside, let's see what goes on further. I know that no one is baffled if he makes friends with you. So she's trying to, it's what everybody, everybody falls for that. Somebody comes, "Oh, you're so great, you're so nice, you're having this quality and that quality," and I immediately say, "Yes, how did you notice this?" And then nobody else, only you now. You must be so great because you're noticing how great I am, no? This is how relationships form when all this bluffing goes on. Anyway, purport, let's see what Srila Prabhupada says. The words Yavananam Rishabham refer to the king of the Yavanas. Okay, who are the Yavanas? Okay, Prabhupada said about it. The Sanskrit word Yavana and Mlecha apply to those who do not follow the Vedic principles. Okay, what else? Anybody else knows what Yavana and Mlecha means? Yes.
Muslims are referred to as Yavana.
Okay, Muslims are referred to Yavanas. Anybody else has anything to add? Yes.
Cow flesh eaters are not Yavanas.
Well, not just cow, any flesh eaters are called as Yavanas and Mlechas. They're both flesh eaters. That's why it's not just this type, this, or let's say this culture or tradition or this and that. And anybody who eats flesh, it's a Mlecha and Yavana. We already pointed out in India nowadays, you know how many people are vegetarian? Okay, very nice. You're in minority.
He's asking how many in India.
You're in minority. 30%. 30%. So that means 70% of India's population, it's Mlecha or Yavana. So now what is the difference between Mlecha and Yavana? They're both meat eaters. What is the difference? And pretty much beef eating is going on now. I don't, it's like, that's also there anyway. It's like, so what is the difference between Mlecha and Yavana? Anybody knows that? Anybody heard what's the difference with why then?
That's now Bangladesh is covering the beef.
Don't worry about Bangladesh. You just talk about India. And if you can include the whole world, then the percentage will drop drastically.
Are Caucasians referred to as Mlechas?
Yes. Okay, I'll tell the difference. Yavanas are opposed to Vedic culture. They're inimical. Mlechas are not. That's the difference. They're both flesh, cow eaters, whatever, but at least some of them are not like opposing, at least, the Vedic culture. They're not like aggressive against it or something. That's a difference.
So where did you get this information from?
Some authoritative source in sannyastic list. So, okay, yeah, please settle. So according to the Vedic principles, one should rise early in the morning, take bath, chant Hare Krishna, offer Mangalarti to the deities, study Vedic literature, take prasad, and engage in dressing and decorating the deities. Okay, now Prabhupada points certain principles of sadhana. One must also collect money for the temple expenditure, or if one is a householder, he must go to work in accordance with the prescribed duties of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. In this way, one should live a life of spiritual understanding, and this is the Vedic way of civilization. One who does not follow all these rules and regulations, it's called a Yavana or Mlecha. Okay, so that's also there. They don't follow the principles of Vedic culture. That's kind of understood. If you eat meat, of course, you don't follow any other principle. You're not going to do puja or something in some ways, but Prabhupada is clarifying here. So one who does not follow all these rules and regulations, it's called a Yavana or Mlecha. One should not mistakenly think that these words refer to certain classes of men in other countries. Okay? There is no question of limitation according to nationalism. Whether one lives in India or outside of India, he's called a Yavana or Mlecha if he does not follow the Vedic principles. So that's what we said. That's what Srila Prabhupada is confirming here. So one who does not actually follow the hygienic principles prescribed in the Vedic rules and regulations will be subjected to many contagious diseases. Because the students in this Krishna conscious movement are advised to follow the Vedic principles, they naturally become hygienic. Just like they're making a joke that the only good thing of the COVID time was that people started washing their hands. Yes. At least that was the good outcome of the whole COVID thing that happened. People started washing their hands. So, if a person is Krishna conscious, he can work like a young man, even if he's 75 or 80 years old. Thus, the daughter of Kala, time, cannot overcome a Vaishnava. So that's what Srila Prabhupada, like Srila Prabhupada, he never felt, he said, I'm not an old man, because he always felt young in spirit. No? Yeah, young in spirit. So it's not a matter of age, it's not a matter of the state of the body. It's a matter of, it's a state, it's a matter of consciousness. So Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami engaged in writing Chaitanya Charitamrita when he was very old. Yet he presented the most wonderful literature about the activities of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami began their spiritual lives at very old age. That is, after they retired from the occupations and family lives. Yet they presented many valuable literatures for the advancement of spiritual life. This is confirmed by Srila Srinivasa Acharya, who praised the Goswamis in this way. Nana Shastra Vicharanakan Kumar Sadama Samsapakam Lokanam Hitakarinu Tribhuvane Manya Sharanya Karam Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nande Namatalika Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalaka. How many times we said not to do this? I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who were very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they're honored all over the three worlds, and they're worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and they engaged in the transcendental loving service of God and Krishna. So that's why Srila Prabhupada concludes. He said, thus, Jara, the effect of old age, does not harass a devotee. Their body might be affected, but not their spirit. Like Prabhupada, we knew he was more agile, he was like more energetic than any younger devotee that was there. He said, devotees couldn't follow him. Prabhupada would have so many devotees assisting him, and after some time, they just couldn't manage. It was too intense. That's a fact. They couldn't match up with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so energetic. It's inconceivable. So thus, Jara, the effect of old age does not harass a devotee. This is because the devotee follows the instructions and the determination of Narada Muni. So why Srila Prabhupada is bringing this contrast here? Huh?
Prabhu, can you translate it a little? I cannot understand who it is.
Too late now. Next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Okay.
Huh? So why does Prabhupada bring in this contrast of the devotee and the Yavanas and Mlechas? We see. Simple, because the old age doesn't affect the devotee. Doesn't have an effect on consciousness, whereas those who are unclean, who don't follow Vedic principles, they become the subject of the old age. Old age marries them. That's the point. Marries them in a sense that they become overpowered. No, they become subjected. But not the devotees. Not the devotees. That's what we should understand from this description here. So thus, Jara, the effect of old age does not harass the devotee. This is because the devotee follows instructions and the determination of Narada Muni. All devotees are in disciplic succession, streaming from Narada Muni. because they worship the deity according to Narad Muni's direction, namely the Narad Pancharatra or the Pancharatrika Vidi. So that's what we have. There's a deity worship going on in the temple. A devotee follows the principles of Pancharatric Vidi as well as Bhagavat Vidi. Anyway, that's Bhagavat means Srimad Bhagavata, Pancharatric means morning sadhana. Let's put it straight like this, just brief. Bhagavat Vidi includes preaching work, Shravanam Kirtana Vishnu, the hearing and chanting of the glories of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pancharatric Vidi includes Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atmani, Vedanam. No, that's interesting. You see, principles of bhakti, some are under Pancharatric, some are under Bhagavat Vidi. No, that's interesting. I'll repeat that again. Pancharatric, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani, Vedanam. All the others are Bhagavat Vidi, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Because the devotee rightly follows the instructions of Narada Muni, he has no fear of old age, disease, or death. Apparently, devotee may grow old, but he's not subjected to the symptoms of defeat experienced by the common man in old age. Consequently, the old age doesn't make a devotee fearful of death, as a common man is fearful of death. That's why we follow this process. It's another reason we follow this process. We can see that we don't become affected. I mean, devotees don't become affected in their consciousness. Prabhupada had, even when he was on the deathbed, he was still translating these purports of Srimad Bhagavatam with such a high Krishna consciousness. Consequently, old age does not make a devotee fearful of death, as a common man is fearful of death. When Jara or old age takes shelter of a devotee, Kalakanya diminishes devotee's fear. That's also interesting. Listen to this. So even when the death, old age comes, devotee is not fearful. The devotee knows that the death is going to, or after death, he's going back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, he has no fear of death. Thus, instead of depressing a devotee, advanced age helps him become fearless and thus happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll stop here. I want to finish also a little earlier. Because several reasons. Anyway, one of them is we are starting marathon. We already started. Have many things to do. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, so Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so this is just that you understand how Kalakanya doesn't affect the devotees, but it will affect King Puranjana. That is our story. So whenever I come back, so remember King Puranjana, what happened to him when he was affected by the old age and then consequently death. Yes. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.